I want to talk about the Mechira. You're saying it like the more. I want to talk about Mechirat Hametz and explain how it works. How do you sell your Hametz? It doesn't make sense, really. When you think...
I went many times to the community.
Right, but even when you do it officially, you sit with the buyer.
One thing.
Yeah.
I was very unimpressed because they took the helper of the rabbi.
Yes.
They had to explain to her what to do, and she didn't.
Right. So.
She didn't know nothing.
Right. So officially, we're conducting a transaction, right? In our case, I sell for the people. I represent the people of the synagogue. So I have about 100 forms. Also, people who submit online. But in Israel, it's the chief rabbinate that does that, and the chief rabbi gets all the documents from all the rabbis of the cities. So, or each city, the rabbi sells hundreds of thousands of households, hametz, to one person. You look at it, you say, this is fake. It's not real. I mean, even if the buyer, and who's the buyer usually? If you would have sold it to someone who really has the money, right? You go to, I don't know who was today. It used to be Adnan Khashoggi, in Saudi Arabia. He's a billionaire, a Muslim. Okay, you sell him the hametz. If he wants to actually effectuate the deal, he could give you the money and give you the hametz. But when you sell it to the helper of the rabbi or someone who's the janitor of the synagogue, which is very common, you tell him, here, I'll sell you all the hametz of all my congregation. Give me a deposit. He gives me $5. Okay, the deal is effectuated. Now I tell him, if you want to buy the hametz, you have to, if you want to, the deal, you want to take the hametz actually, you have to give me the rest of the money. If not, I'm going to buy it back from you. In 8 days, you have to come up with all the money. And if you don't, I'm going to buy it back from you. So I'll give him back an extra $5 maybe for the thing. Wait a second. Among the households that we sold, probably there are a couple of bottles of good scotch, right? That altogether come up to more than his monthly salary. How is he going to buy it from me? So we know, lechatchila, before I even sell it, I know that he can never pay for it. It seems fake, right? All fiction. So really, we have to go, in order to understand that, first we have to go to the question of bitul hametz, of nullifying the hametz, which is also a problem. How do you nullify hametz? You say the hametz is now dust. You have a loaf of bread or a nice cake on the table. Say, this is not cake, this is dust. So could you leave it on the table? I mean, technically, you could leave it on the table the whole holiday, because it's nothing. As long as you don't eat from it. Well, we don't. We clean the house and that. So how can we do that? How does it work? So the Gemara really struggles with that. Gemara says, Be'oraita bebitul me'alma sagi. The Gemara says, really, when we do bitul hametz, it's enough. You don't have to remove the hametz from your home. Even if it's on your table, it's okay. Why? Because they look at the Torah. The Torah says, Shiv'at yamim matzot tochelu, ach bayom harishon tashbitu se'or batechem, ki kol ochel hametz, v'nechreta hanefesh ha'im miYisrael. Torah says you have to eat matzot for 7 days, but already on the first day, make sure that you have no sourdough, no hametz in your house, because if you eat hametz, you'll be punished. So the rabbis looked at that, and they said, the Torah tells you not to have hametz because having hametz will lead you to sin. But if you know,
that's the other saying that's problem.
Yeah, but it says
is that it's
Not
from
only
the other.
it doesn't matter. Lo imatzeh. But the Torah says
just achila.
I'm not saying that's not what I'm saying. That's what the Gemara is saying.
Right.
The Gemara says se'or lo imatzeh bevatechem.
Yeah.
Why? Ki kol ochel mahmetz v'nichata nefesh ha'im Yisrael.
Right.
The Torah's prohibition against having hametz is a measure against eating hametz. So that's why Rambam says that what happened if you owned hametz on Pesach? Usually, any prohibition that is transgressed carries a physical punishment. I mean, if it's what's called malkot. But Rambam says, en lo kin alav. If someone had Hametz in his possession on Pesach, he's not lokeh, he's not being punished. Why? Because they understood the Isur as a preventive measure. I mean, of course, it's forbidden. You don't have it at home. One cannot say, don't worry, I'm not going to eat Hametz, and leave the Hametz in his house. It is a transgression, but it's just one that's registered, upstairs, and one is not being punished for it. Even not punished in the sense of you can't use the Hametz. What if someone decided not to sell, not to do bitul, anything? He leaves everything in the cabinets as usual on Pesach. What happens after Pesach?
Who doesn't use it?
Nothing. No, you could, according to the Torah. The Torah says, okay, use it. Chalas, Pesach is over, you could use it. The rabbis said, Hametz sha'avar alav Pesach, asur b'hana'ah. The rabbis realized that there are many people that were of that mentality. Don't worry, I'll keep it at home and I'm not going to eat from it. So they said, you cannot derive benefit from it. This way, they ensured that people would get rid of their Hametz before Pesach. So originally, the bitul, so how could we go into this nullification? Originally, that concept of bitul was not done lechatchila, was not the ideal way to do it, but rather it was a last resort, only in an emergency. The Mishnah says, היה הולך לשחוט את פסחו, ונזכר שיש לו חמץ בתוך ביתו. You already packed everything, you're traveling to Yerushalayim. All of a sudden say, oh my God, I left two halot, or I left the dough, we were going to bake matzah, and we forgot it. Now, says, if he has time to go back and get rid of it before Zman HaBi'ur, before the deadline, and make it to Yerushalayim for the Pesach, fine. If not, mevatlo belibo. Go to bitul. Okay, so this is the last resort. But later on, it moved on to become the ideal way. I mean, first you clean, meaning we added layers of defense. First clean the house, then get rid of everything, and in case something was left that you didn't see, do bitul. So the rabbis asked, how can you, even with that we said that it's an emergency measure, right? How can you denounce something that's right in front of you? So I'll tell you what the Ramban says. The Ramban says the following. He says, hefker, some people say that it is like disowning. No, according to halakha, you can disown an object. Something that belongs to you, you can disown it. Say it's hefker. Anyone who wants it can take it. It has to do sometimes, with questions of wills. If someone wants to give a gift, if someone owns something that is not whatever that he doesn't want to have in his possession, or let's say someone took a vow. He fought with his friend. He said, "My friend cannot use my property, cannot use my possessions. He cannot enter my house. He cannot eat from my food. Nothing." He was very upset. He made a neder. Now this friend has become very poor, and he wants to give him something. He regrets it, and he wants to give him something to eat, and he can't. So what can he do? He could go out, with money, with food, in front of three people, like a bedin, like court, and say, from now on, this is not mine. It's not my possession, and I leave it in the street. Anyone who wants to take it could take it. And then if his friend is the first one to take it, it's good. Right? But that kind of disowning has to be done in front of three people, right? And it has to be done in an official way. And it has to be uttered. You have to say, with the Hametz, Hazal, the Rabbi said, bevatlo belibo. We say it today, we say it, but the Rabbi said it works even if you just think of it. And you don't do it in front of three people. So Ramban says the following. He says, Kevan lo ikpida Torah ella shelo yeh hametz shelo birchuto. The only concern of the Torah is that your hametz will not be in your possession. If your hametz was given to someone else, or if you have the hametz that belongs to someone else in your possession, is not a problem. But the Torah doesn't want you to own hametz and that it will be on your property, right? So bedinu shelo ya'avor alav beklum. So the Torah already by the law of the Torah, it doesn't belong to you. Torah tells you this you cannot use. You're not allowed to have it. You cannot use it. So it's like something that, let's say the government says, during the dry season, right, again, so you can't have alcohol. If a government agent sees you with a bottle of alcohol, he can confiscate it with no consequences to the government agent, meaning that you really don't own it. So the same way, the hametz that is in your property is not yours. So if it's not yours,
What you worry about?
exactly, what to worry about? So they say, so it's just a technicality. All you have to do is to show that you agree with the Torah and you don't want to own it. So first you clean out everything that is visible. Then you say, if I didn't see anything, I don't want to own it. And then in this way it's like a declaration that you agree with what the Torah prescribed for you. That's with bitul. Now what happens with mechira? Selling the hametz also originally is mentioned in the Gemara as an emergency measure. When is it mentioned? The case was that people were traveling in a ship, Jews and non-Jews, and Israel v'gosh hayu ba'im b'sfina v'hametz b'yad Israel. So they're on a ship, and the Jew has hametz, but he needs it because after Pesach, what is he going to eat? We're not talking about a cruise, or a boat, for a couple of days. They're going to be on it for months. He needs the food. He has so what does he do? הרי זה מוכרו לנוכרי וחוזר ולוקח ממנו לאחר הפסח. Because you have no other way, this is the last resort, sell it to the goy. And buy it back from him אחר הפסח, it has to be, או נותנו לו במתנה גמורה. You could also give it to him as a gift. But when you give it as a gift, you take a risk. He could eat it. The same with mechirat hametz. You sell it to the goy, he could use it and then pay you. It's his completely. So now, that was mechira is mentioned in the Gemara, in the Tosefta already, like 2,000 years ago, but it was rarely used. When...
Rabbi.
Yes.
When you sell the chametz, you sell to the housekeeper.
Yes.
She has to give money.
Oh, she has to give like a deposit, yes.
Deposit.
Yeah. Well, $1, $2 just to effectuate the sale. So what I'm saying is, for about 1,500 years, people didn't use it so much.
Because they didn't have
Exactly.
Costco.
They didn't have no large quantities of hametz at home. You had the daily bread.
Exactly, right.
When did it become a problem? In medieval Europe, 1600, people, the main profession of Jews was they leased breweries and pubs from the local princes. So they have large volumes of quantities of beer. So what are you going to do? Or not whiskey, they had beer mainly in Europe. So now, come Pesach, what are you going to do? You can't get rid of all your beer. So the rabbi said, you're going to sell it to the goy, but they did it in an official sale. Meaning, there's a contract, they describe exactly the property, they lock it, they give the key to the goy. And there were cases where the goy came on Pesach, and opened and sold it, and some Jews lost because of that. Not always it works for them. So, but slowly, once it was done, more and more people did it. So now, we came to this day and age. Many things happened in between. One strange thing happened is that some Ashkenazi rabbis said, wait a second, if we already sell everything, the hametz, just to be on the safe side, let's also sell our dishes. Because what if I have a hametz dish? A pot that I use for hametz the whole year. It's better not to have it. Because otherwise maybe I cannot use it after Pesach. So they included in the document. The next rabbi came and said, wait a second. If you sell your pot to the goy and you buy it back after Pesach, you have to do tevilat kelim. It's like buying a new dish from the goy. You have to do it to take it to the mikveh. Where you're going to. So they found a solution. I'm not selling the pot to the goy. I'm only selling the hametz that was absorbed in the dishes. This really makes the sale ridiculous. Because, I want to sell you the flavor of hametz that is absorbed in the cup. The chila. Nobody's going to do that. So now we have in the Orthodox world, the Hametz, you could say there are three major camps of what to do. One camp, and I think Haim Ovadia is of that opinion, says only for large factories you should do mechira. At home, try to get rid of everything you have, or even if you sell, try to make sure that it's only. It's all in line with the second camp, which says you could do the mechira, but make sure that it's in a designated area at the house, locked, and that the key is given to the rabbi, and the rabbi gives the key to the goy, or everything is accessible. For example, if you have, let's say, you have an alarm code to your house, you have to give it to the goy, because he has to be able to come and take it whenever he wants. Then there's another camp that says, no, you could sell anything you want. And actually, Chabad, Lubavitch, I think it's a ruling by the Rabbi. He said, we want to show that the sale is effective, it's not a joke. So, buy Hametz before Pesach, put it in the freezer, and sell the content of the freezer. Right? So how does this work? We go back to the whole circle. This is the concept. Like they said about Bitul, about nullifying the Hametz. The Torah said that you should not own Hametz. And the Torah said it so you don't eat the Hametz on Pesach. So, if you know that you're not going to eat it, and you put it in a designated place, and you sealed it, even you just put a sign Hametz, and then you did the sale, you did all the steps necessary to declare that you don't want the Hametz, and that you agree with the law of the Torah that says do not consume Hametz on Pesach. So even though the sale is not 100% legal according to human contracts, but it's acceptable according to the divine law, and that's why you should not worry. The Hametz is the sale is fine. You put your name. I even tell people all you have to do is we do the form here, but some people send me their names online. So all I need to do, I have to know your name and your contact information to have the possibility that if the guy says, I want the Hametz of this guy who lives in Tennessee, who emailed you. So okay, here's the contact information. Go there, get the Hametz, no problem. But it's valid and it's good. So,